So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the problems from the Chapter 18 sub-practice sheet. So this first problem, what I want to start by doing is identifying all of the variables we've been given. So we know that 183 is our n. And then it says here that 31 people favor the PRISM project. So this was our sample that we conducted. So if 31 out of 183 people said they approve of the project, that gives us a sample success rate of 0.169. So while we're at it, let's just go ahead and record our Q hat. So from this sample, the proportion of people that did not approve of the project is 0.831. All right, and our confidence level, if we're recording that, is going to be 96%. Okay, so first I want to state. So for the state step, we want to estimate the true proportion of residents who approve of the PRISM project at 96% confidence. Okay, next I'll list the conditions. So first condition is simple random sample. Well, it doesn't say much about how these residents were obtained, but we're just going to assume the sample is representative of the population. Population being all residents in the city. All right, 2, NP hat is greater than or equal to 10, and I'll add the rest of that in just a moment. And NQ hat needs to be greater than or equal to 10. Okay, so that needs to be, we don't know the true proportion, that's what we're trying to estimate. So that's P hat, and this is Q hat, and it's greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay, so to check this, we will do 0.169 times 183, and we see that that is in fact greater than 10. Oops. And then we'll check that 0.831 times 8 0.831 times 183 is greater than 10. And that checks out as well. Finally, our third condition is that n is less than or equal to 10% of the population. And so it's safe to assume that there are more than 1,830 residents in the city. Okay, so that is it for our state step. I'm just going to go ahead and add, since my keyboard does not have less than or equal to, this is less than or equal to 10%. All right, so next step is the plan step. So for the plan step, if I want 96% confidence, I'm going to ask myself, what is on the left tail and what is on the right tail? So the area under here would be 2%. The area under here would be 2%. So in my calculator, I'm going to do inverse norm of 0.02. So that's going to start adding over here, and it's going to stop whenever it gets to 2%. And that value is going to be my z star. Same over here, but your calculator reads it from the left first. Okay, 0, 1. And that gives us a critical value of 2.053. From here, we can move on to our do step. This is where the math is actually coming in. So we have p hat plus or minus our critical value times p hat q hat over n, all square rooted. Now again, you don't need to include this with each of the individual variables, because you do run the risk of losing points if you mistakenly put p or mistakenly put q when we're referring to p hat or q hat. So you always have that option to just jump right into plugging in the numbers, which is what we'll do. So the sample proportion that we arrived at from this little town meeting was 0.169. The critical value is 2.054. And then we saw that our p hat, again from this front number, is 0.169. Q hat is 0.831. We talked about that in the state step. And then our sample size was 183 residents. Okay, so doing a little bit of calculator work, we arrive at 0.057. This is our margin of error. So we add a little bit of cushion to the left, a little bit of cushion to the right. That cushion is the margin of error. So my confidence interval runs from 0.112 to 0.226. So what does that mean? Well, we'll elaborate on that in the conclude step. So our conclude steps must tie the context back in. So we are 96% confident, that was the confidence level we chose or were told to choose, that the true proportion, well, true proportion of what? Who are we talking about? Well, we were talking about residents who approve of the prison project. And we feel 96% confident that that is between 11.2%, and 22.6%. And that concludes the whole problem. Okay, so following those exact same steps, I want you guys to try the second problem on your own if you haven't done so already. And for this third problem, we've changed the problem up a little bit. Now we want a specific margin of error. We want a specific confidence level of 90%. And so we need to use the formula margin of error is equal to the critical value, which we obtain from this, and then our standard error, which we obtain from the word problem itself using p hat and q hat values. All right, and the goal for this problem is to eventually solve for n. How many people do I have to sample in order to meet these specifics for the survey? Okay, if you need further help with this third practice problem, you can refer to the other videos on the channel that bring you back to the end of the chapter 18 notes. But that's it. As always, see me if you have more questions after school or at lunch.